Today we're talking about Prey. We're reviewing the new Predator movie on Hulu. Let's talk about it. Okay, guys, welcome back to the Tone Show. It's been a while in New York City. We're going to talk about Prey. It just premiered this weekend. We're going to get into the nitty gritty, and there's going to be some spoilers in this. I don't think anything's going to ruin the movie, but we might discuss some things, so beware. All right, guys, so let's jump into it. So the Predator movie is exclusively on Hulu. Why is that? We got to talk about the fact that this is one of those movies that Disney acquired when they did the whole Fox acquisition. So this movie is on Hulu. Disney had an interest in Hulu, and after the Fox acquisition, they had even a bigger interest in Hulu. So a lot of these movies are just basically getting dumped, and I'm using dumped as a kind word. They're kindly being dumped on Hulu, right? They're being dumped on Hulu. Disney Plus, if you're in the States, you know that they have this content, which is family-friendly content. That's what Disney is. And you can put in a PIN code now on your account, and you can see other movies that are unlocked. But it looks like they didn't want to put this movie on there. So Hulu's basically where all their offerings that are kind of more rated R. And again, a lot of the Fox movies are being dubbed kindly there. So if you're in the international scene and you're not in America, you're probably getting this on Disney Plus with a PIN code, or you're watching it on Stars, which is like the Star tab is what Disney has overseas for people to watch Disney friendly content. So that's where you're watching it. This film is directed by Dan Trachtenberg. If I'm butchering your name, I'm sorry. We have starring Amber Midthunder. I think she did awesome in this movie. We're going to talk about it. We also have a brother about Dakota Beavers. We have Stormy Kipp, Michelle Trush, Julian Blank Antlope, and Diane DeLegro. This film was written by Patrick Asen and story by Patrick Asen and the director Dan Trachtenberg. Okay, so let's get to the nitty gritty about Prey. So Prey is a Predator movie, big dog, and it's the nameplay obviously is a Prey on the original Predator movie, which was called Predator, so it's called Prey. So this is the other end of that, and this movie tries to do more than one thing. It tries to walk and chew gum at the same time, and what I'm saying is it tries to be a Predator movie and invite all the Predator fans to come home to this movie, but it also tries to be a little deeper movie with something to say, I guess, about life and the circle of life. It tries to say something about the Comanche people, and it's awesome because usually you have Native Americans, and this movie particularly is about a Comanche tribe, and they're usually in the background. But this movie that puts them right in the foreground, and they're the interesting three-dimensional characters, which they should be. And it also tries to squeeze a Predator in there. So it tried to do a lot. It tried to do two things at the same time. Did it accomplish it? We're going to talk a little about that as well. So basically the premise of the movie is that you have this tribe, you have this young woman. I think her role is basically like someone who heals. She's very adept when it comes to knowing what to use to heal people. But her passion is really hunting. She wants to be a hunter. Her brother Nabe, he's a hunter, and she wants to basically follow in those footsteps. But being the stereotypes and the world that she's living in the 1700s, this is when this movie takes place, she's expected to be a healer, but she goes out there and she, in a very Disney way, kind of, you think about it, she tries to go out there and still be a hunter. So she goes out when she shouldn't, and she gets in all these mishaps, but mostly she encounters the Predator, which is not called the Predator in the movie, and that's where everything takes off. Now, the movie itself, it's a prequel, I would say, because it takes place in the 1700s. This is a very early Predator. I'm going to say the design for this Predator is amazing. Visually, this is a very amazing movie visually. Like, there's some really big, lush, open shots. I think Dan Trachtenberg, he did a great job, filming this. The actual aesthetic of the movie is awesome. Amber Midthunder's character, Nabu, she looks awesome. She obviously, she does look awesome. Everybody in the movie looks visually awesome. I think sometimes it's kind of hard because the character, Amber Midthunder's character, she looks very contemporary in a way. I don't know if it's the way that the costuming, but she looks very contemporary. Sometimes the 1700, it kind of messes with your brain because she looks like she pops from the background at times. The way that aesthetically she looks. But the movie's filmed awesome. I think the aesthetics are awesome. You have these very lush, big shots. They took some thought in filming this, and that's really awesome. And the pacing, I would say, is where you encounter a problem here. One of the biggest problems I had with this film was the pacing. it tries, like I said, to do two things: chew gum and also show you some Predator. And anybody who knows the Predator movie, the number one awesomeness about it, one is the science fiction aspect, but number two is the action. Like, the action got to be there. And I really felt in this film like the action was so spread apart. There were some awesome action scenes in this movie, like awesome action pieces, but I feel like they were too far apart to have the continuity that just took you throughout the film. There were parts in the film where they were trying to be like, I guess, from a storytelling angle, like they were trying to show you, basically give you more depth to it, but at the same point I felt kind of slowed the movie down. And it's only, I think it's an hour and 44. It's not a huge, like a long running time movie. This movie's not long by any stretch of the imagination. But I still feel like they could have cut more and made it a tighter movie. And that's basically one of my biggest critiques about this. Like, it's just the pacing. There were times where I was like, oh man, like I want some Predator here. Some more Predator action. And I think the design of the Predator, this is an early Predator. This takes place in the 1700s. So it's before any other Predator we've seen before. And aesthetically, I thought it was really ill the way they did it. His mask, it was like a bone mask that he has. He has a targeting system, which is very similar to the one we've seen with the Predator, which shoots from his eye here. But in here, instead of shooting a laser, it's a 1700. So he shoots actual projectiles, which are kind of like steel arrows that he's shooting from there. And they take advantage of that later in the film. But I thought the way that the technology was honored, the whole Predator technology was awesome. I think the aesthetic of the Predator is awesome. And that was very real to the Predator. I just wish there was more development, like in general. Like, I feel like this movie, and I'm not gonna say this this movie had to carry the whole Predator brand, but the Predator landscape is really missing something. And I think it's a connecting tissue that we have, kind of like, I hate to say it, but the MCU, for example, you have a great connecting tissue. So if you're not gonna, like, the way to explore, I think the Predator multiverse is to bring us a multiverse and to bring us something that we can carry along. And I feel like if you look at a movie like Aliens, like they had Ripley, and that character of Ripley, it basically sewed all the movies together. And I feel like that's what Predator is missing. Like this, I think this movie, if for a Predator fan, is definitely a watch. If you're a Predator fan, no question, watch this movie. If you're not a fan of the Predator, the pacing alone in the story, I'm not sure if you're going to enjoy it as much as somebody who is a fan of the Predator, because that's what got me through the movie at times, when the pacing I thought was a little bit slow, and I didn't think that the development of the characters was there. I was just basically looking, oh, when's the next Predator shot going to come? What's going to happen there? And how's the kill shot going to happen? So that basically carried me through the movie. By no fault, I would say the fault of the actors. I thought the actors were awesome. I thought the young man who plays Nabu, which is Mid-Thunder's co-star, who plays her brother, I thought he did a great job as well. A very convincing, supportive character to her character. And as a whole, I thought everybody did their job, but I just felt like the pacing itself slowed the movie down too much, to the point that someone who's not a Predator fan might not stick around. They might be like, I got stuff to do. But again, going back to the design, I thought this was an awesome design, and I feel like they need something that threads the needle between all these Predator films. This is a prequel, which puts it at the beginning. And I don't know what Disney ideas or plans they have for the Predator. And I really feel like it would be awesome if they gave us a character that we could then see in another Predator film and create a sequel to this. Like I said, there's a spoiler right here I'm going to give. So spoiler alert. If you don't want a spoiler, just click off and come back after the movie. So at the end of the movie, we see that in the end credits, they show like these ships arriving. And I'm assuming, because at the end of the movie, Rue's character ends up with a pistol, and this pistol that she has, that she takes from the colonizers, from these Voyagers, is the same pistol that's handed to Danny Glover's character in Predator 2. So there is an effort here to mesh these movies and connect them. But again, there's nothing that would make a fan say, like, I gotta watch the next movie because X, Y, and Z from this movie. And that's the thing that I think all the Predator movies fault in. Like, Predators, I thought was a good Predator movie also. But again, nothing to connect the movies besides referencing the other movies. But no characters to carry us through, no emotional. So we need something emotional, like I said. And I think Aliens did it with Ripley, like a character that we could latch onto. And we could really experience the Predator landscape through that character. And that's what Predator, I think, is missing. Either maybe a Predator that again, there was no background given to this Predator, just like a lot of other Predator movies. And I feel like if you had a Predator who actually understood as a character, and they developed that Predator's character, maybe we could actually get more attached to that character and then see that specific character throughout, the vision. I think the Mandalorian, for example, the character of Jin and Mando, like, that's a great example. Like, yes, we know about the Mandalorians, but this specific Mandalorian we're kind of attached to now. So I feel like the Predator franchise, the landscape, really needs that. And we need a character that we get attached to, be it like a final girl like Naru from this movie, or a Predator who they actually give lines to and we develop as a character, something that this movie didn't do. And a lot of Predator movies kind of miss out on that. We've yet to establish a connection to a specific Predator, I think, that we can be like, yo, I understand where this Predator is coming from. I know his backstory. And that I think would help the film a lot. And this film didn't accomplish that. But I do think that as a Predator film, I thought it was a good film. But as a film in itself, there's some lacking as far as the pacing. And a lot of people who are into like films, like just for watching like, the depth of the story. And they're not coming to a Predator film for that. They're coming to a Predator film for some explosions, some killing, some action. And I feel like it kind of lacked that. So Predator fans, I think definitely you're going to enjoy this. I enjoy this as a Predator fan. People who are not into Predator, this might not be your cup of tea. As always, guys, this is the Tone Show. Let me know what you thought. What you thought about Prey. Put it in the comments. And as always, guys, this is the Tone Show. Tone Show. Out.